Okay, so before I was pondering about who to root for, basically, and this is the one yabbit I would have about the CIA is, yeah, but what about the paperclip Nazis? Because for sure, we took in a whole bunch of Nazis at the end of World War II. And how many of them could have formed secret pockets within our own shit that have could have taken over by now, especially in NASA and the CIA. So I guess this comes down to, do you trust NASA and the CIA? Because NASA and the CIA 100% have more tech than anyone anywhere else on Earth. They're more powerful than any government on Earth. Like, fuck. We're all down here talking about Elon Musk and shit, and literally, I think NASA and fucking JPL and the Air Force and Space Force and a few other things now are fucking building interstellar craft. Like, this is a thing that's happening. And it's so we're going to be Starship Troopers now. uh, okay. Are we Nazi Starship Troopers or are we just Starship Troopers? That's what I would like to know. I'm okay with this idea, I guess. I mean, this is literally their plan, I guess, is literally a fucking wagon train to the stars. And that would explain a lot of world events. I think they are readying the world for some sort of disclosure about not all of this shit, but some of this shit. Um, and by that I mean, like, they don't want to tell everybody everything all at once, but I think they are going to start telling people more and more things. And some of those things are going to include, hey, we're launching colony ships to blah de blah eventually. Like, I'm not sure when we, start doing that shit, but like, so when they wrote Star Trek in the 1960s, the writers put us going into, deep space in the 90s, having wars in space in our time now. Okay, like, that's where we are at technology wise, believe it or not. We're actually beyond Star Trek in a lot of ways, which is kind of funny to think about. Some of the technology that they're playing with, if you believe all of the stuff that I now believe, like, I always was like, I think I believe Bob Lazar. I think I believe this and that. And the thing that has convinced me of all of this more than anything is there's this list of fucking episodes that big tech doesn't like of Joe Rogan. You can go Google that. Go Google the list of episodes that, you know, Google won't allow on YouTube or they won't allow on Spotify or both. Look at all of those. The ones that caught my attention were the ones about aliens and ancient civilizations. There's some of those that they, I think, just threw in just to throw people off, and there's some of those that they threw in just because they don't like that person because of the wokeness or whatever. And like, they made up a list of bullshit to cover up the fact that there's like 4 or 5 in there that tells deep secrets of the universe. And it's like, you don't quite know whether to believe them or not. But the thing that makes me believe those people more is the fact that it's hard to find that information that they were talking about at all. And when you do find it, it's made fun of. And then when it was talked about seriously on a major thing like Joe Rogan, it's been hidden and hidden and hidden. It seems that a lot of this has to do with fucking psychedelics and shit too. Really makes me wonder about everything I've done fucking like my whole life, because everything I've been into my whole life has been ancient civilizations, psychedelics, aliens, weaponry. Like, this is the stuff that I'm into. And strangely enough, I think it's this stuff that is about to be important. I think, like, this is actually the stuff that moves our world forward, believe it or not, folks. I think you ought to fucking go read some mythology, really. Read any mythology ever and know that 90% of that shit was true. Now, it may be, hey, they got the names wrong or whatever, or there's details switched around or whatever, and occasionally there's just some crazy shit thrown in. That's the 10%. You don't know about the 10%, but there's lots of so and so flew here. So and so had a magic chair. All of that shit you should 100% believe, as it turns out. Imagine us now at our level of technology if it was me and 50 men that I trained to come with me and protect me. And what I did was go out into the Amazon jungle, uh, somehow, dropped by helicopter or something and cut an LZ, something like that, set up a place to do trading. And then I just started trading knives to fucking Stone Age tribesmen for whatever the fuck it is that they have of value. Gold? Are they mining gold? I'll take gold. This is 100% what some ancient fuckers used to do. I don't know where they came from. I don't know wherever it is, but why would you go through all the trouble of setting up a slave colony or whatever if you have magic? Okay? A steel knife to a Stone Age person is magic. It's the same thing with, a lot of shit. Like, right now I have a solar system and a fridge and some gadgets for it that any Stone Age person anywhere in the world would trade their fucking eye teeth for. Imagine what they would give you. Now imagine that you had even more power. Imagine that with a flick of your fingers, you could transform someone into a turkey or some shit. I think that's the level of power some of these beings have. I think a lot of these crazy stories about, you know, half human, half animals and shit like that, I even think some of these things have a sick, twisted sense of humor. And I think there is some sort of order to these gods even. And somebody's mom got mad and came in and killed all the freaks and restored some order to the earth, and that's the era that we currently live in. It's fucking insane to think that the gods are real, man. And like, that's the thing, is you don't have to think of them as gods, but you have to think of they have god-like powers compared to us. Again, imagine us dropping into the fucking Amazon or something and talking to uncontacted tribes, trading them medical supplies and whatever. Like, we would seem like gods, and we're not even that advanced compared to them. And these craft, at least some of these craft, are the others, quote unquote. I when I hear them call the ETs the others, what I think of is the Watchers from the Book of Enoch. Like, you, I really don't think these things are good. And like, I think from what I understand, there's various different species of them, but I think the main ones are these the gray Roswell aliens, and I think they are the others, quote unquote, the Watchers, quote unquote, whatever you want to call them. And they're fucking terrifying. They're the things that terrified Duke. And I think a lot of anything with this is they have a hard time dealing with some people. And I think that's interesting. It's not just the aliens that do. It's the government. There's a section of people that are above average, and like everybody has different things in different ways, right? Some of these are like demigod traits, I think, from thousands of years of this shit. So like look at you and think about what is, exceptional about you. Could you have some of this fucking shit in your genetic background? I think everyone on earth does now. I think everybody done fucked everybody. It's a weird thing to think about, If all of this is true, if everything that Tom DeLonge and Bob Lazar and fucking a million other of these crazy ass alien people, if what they're saying is essentially true at its core, that the US government has alien craft and we've been working on this shit since the 40s, that some of this shit has been here since the Bible. These things come and go. We don't really know what they are or what they do or why. They just do what they do. And it seems like if what they're saying about the gods is true, I think what they have decided to do now is they deal with the heads of states of countries and give them shit, trade them shit for whatever. I don't know exactly what they're doing. Like they could want anything from us. Imagine what we as a nation state could provide to a visiting spaceship. That's what you should think about. Look at our industries, like digging up all the fucking like lithium and growing all the heroin in the world. Like what if aliens just love heroin? That would explain a lot. There's a lot of like weird shit. Like why would you come here? I guess there's a lot of if all of the shit that's on earth is this is the only place to get it, then there's a whole lot of reasons to come here. Because maybe, they have, a planet somewhere over there, but it has completely different food, completely different materials, completely different trees, completely different everything. Similar but different. Can you imagine what a fucking like spaceship load of buffalo or whatever is worth on the galactic market? Or name an animal from here. I'm betting with this level of technology, just genetic samples. And I think that's a lot of what we see when we see random ass shit happening to animals where like their eyes, brain, and balls are missing or whatever. Like there's a lot of weird shit like that. I guess my question is at the end of this is do we trust the CIA? And if you don't trust the CIA, well then who do you trust? Like everybody needs a friend, right? Like if these are the gods, like I guess we're gonna need a government. I don't know. I hate to say that. I think honestly, probably just be better off on your own. The interesting thing that I heard was that these things feed on fear. So if you don't fear them, can't do anything to you. It's an interesting thought. It would explain that whole wear the full armor of God thing from the Bible, right? Like, if you have all of this shit going for you, then demons can't enter your life and fuck with you. Maybe some of that shit's literal. I don't know. But I've been saying, demons be gone a lot lately, like Joe Rogan and Duncan Trussell at the start of one of their podcasts. It makes me laugh. And I'm pretty sure that, like, on some level, demons are real now. Which I laugh just saying that one. I think that's a very misunderstood topic. It's one of those things that, like, there's a lot of woo with that one. That's with any of this, like, spiritual, mythological shit. I think no one. I think no one's ever really taken a look at it from a bird's eye perspective that was crazy smart and into drugs and still able to string thoughts together in a semi-coherent manner. And I think that's why it's real easy to sell a lot of this shit as the ramblings of a mad person. I think really they built an industry around selling people drugs they don't need to fucking keep them from questioning the government. It's a great racket, really it is. And, like, fuck it, I might go become a Scientologist. Like, if this is all real, Scientology has a fucking god helping them. The only question is, are they like a Satan god, or are they like a good god? I've also been thinking about the Mormons. I think the Mormons might be like, what if Joseph Smith did find some gold plates? I know that's a big what if, but, like, they're lying about so much shit now. I'm like, Mormons say some shit that sounds like that. I don't know what else to say about that. There's a lot of this that I'm finding lately that is just like the craziest fucking alien shit. And it's not like, oh, I'm just finding a new documentary or whatever. It's my, like, casual hunt on the side through these Joe Rogan episodes has led from one crazy topic to another, and it all kind of circles one another. It all circles something to do with, like, psychedelics, the universe, and the ancient past, and aliens. There's something to do with that they don't want you to know. And I'm proposing to you that something is crazy. Like, there's about 100 things to it. Like, the first thing is that you are capable of psychic powers. Probably, if you develop shit right, you'll probably have different abilities depending on what you develop, like what drugs you take, and fucking your genetics. Everything about you will determine the superpowers that you could develop. And, like, this is a lot of the sci-fi we've been getting for a while. I think is people are smoking weed and doing LSD and doing DMT and writing all of our sci-fi and shit. And whether they know it or not, they're getting messages from beyond put into our sci-fi. And I think this is why those of us that are really into watching sci-fi are more open to some of these ideas, is because We've already seen 100 different versions of Nazis fucking with aliens in World War II play out. Like, this is not that big of a leap to make for me. I don't know. I'm more convinced of this than ever. Today I bought Coast to Coast AM's thing. It's like a monthly subscription service, $7 a month. I did that just to listen to the episodes with Tom DeLonge and George Knapp. And I found the parts that he couldn't say in the Joe Rogan interview, and those were interesting. That was all through the second and third hour of that radio show, and it all had to do with oh, whatever it was that the U.S. captured that was a life form. I think it was essentially hardwired into our nuclear defense grid as a computer. I think we didn't know what we had. I think we picked it up and thought it was some fancy piece of tech or something from Nazis, maybe. I don't know. But in reality, it was like a brain. And it didn't like being a slave to us, and it tried to nuke us, maybe. The other thing is, there's been times on both sides where UFOs have come down and fucked with our nukes in the tubes. I think most of that is trying to get one or the other of us to nuke the other. Maybe we're like a science experiment of like a civilization. They seeded this planet with life and they fuck with it while it develops, and they get to cause it to do different things in different directions, and they get to play while they do it. And like, what do you do if you have unlimited power? This has been my question for a lot of things, is like, after you've conquered everything you want to conquer, then what? And like, all the great conquerors, after they conquered everything, ended up finding God in some kind of weird way. Like, that's half of what led me here too, is listening to Mike Tyson talk about this. Not the alien thing, but the conquerors finding God. I think at the end of it, you only have whatever's in you. So work on that. Believe this alien shit. Don't believe this alien shit. But at least go find the episodes of Tom DeLonge talking to Joe Rogan on Spotify, and the episodes of him talking to George Knapp on Coast to Coast AM. You should listen to both of those and know that the vast majority of what that dude is talking about, I fully believe, because I started figuring out who some of his people are. Like, there's some big hints given as to who some of them are in, like, the Joe Rogan one. When you look that up, there's only one guy that was ever head of NSA and CIA, and he's a pretty legit dude. He's a 4-star general of the Air Force. And if that's one of the guys talking to Tom DeLonge, I'm very interested in all of this now. I think it's very interesting that we're getting a space force. I think in my lifetime, we will have, you know, our kids and our kids' kids fighting wars in space with aliens and shit. Maybe not. Maybe we'll just be fighting with really advanced tech here on Earth. But it seems like we'll be fighting because that's what we do. And that worries me, because whatever these things are, they seem to just watch us with this ability to come in and wipe us off the face of the earth at a moment's notice. They could destroy us in 5 seconds if they wanted to, but instead they're playing with us. What happens when we start getting too big for our britches? Is that what happened last time the earth flooded? I don't know. There's a lot of weirdness in this world, and these episodes didn't help me feel better about it. And if anything, I think Duke should be very, very concerned for the sanctity of his butthole. I think the whole alien abduction thing's real. See you guys later. Tell me what you guys think after you go watch the Tom DeLonge shit. Thanks for watching.